can move chairs for you if you need.
I'm okay.
Good.
I'm gonna invite people. I'm gonna invite people to one, require their social distance, both by Ohio law, by cemetery law, unless you're family and you know each other. Ron, we're going to do the ritual of service. Well, we're going to begin our service for Leslie. I'd like to thank you all for taking this cold time for the cold weather day to come out here. I know Leslie would appreciate you being here. A number of years ago, not that long ago, Leslie came in with her nephew Aaron. And as we all know, Leslie, things had to be planned. The party planner, the cruise planner, everything had to be planned. And she wanted to pre-plan her funeral. She wanted to pick out her casket. She wanted to make sure she was buried next to Leonard, her husband, and next to her parents, Harry and Frank. Aaron's grandparents, Ron, your parents. She wanted to make sure her itinerary was set. Death has taken our beloved Leslie. Our friends groom in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, be with them. For Leslie's love that united us in life, in which death cannot sever. For her companionship that we shared along life's path, and which continued through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all these we give our thanks. Those who wish may join me in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. For everything there's a season, a time for every experience under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted. A time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to grieve and a time to dance. A time to throw stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to discard. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. Leslie was born here in Cleveland 75 years ago. To being the daughter of Mary and Beatrice Frank, and the sister of Stuart and Ronald Frank. It's amazing how things come around. I talked to Stuart the other day. Stuart and myself are exactly the same age. Leslie and Stuart, myself, I don't remember Ronnie's much younger, sorry. We all went to the old Heights Temple together. Stuart and myself were in the same bar mitzvah class. I never knew this. I didn't remember it when Leslie and Aaron came in to talk to me until I talked to Stuart. He refreshed my old memory. And some of the things we did in those days, being raised in the same neighborhood. Excuse me. From Cleveland Heights, she moved to Mayfield Heights. And after graduating from Mayfield Heights, she did some education at Cleveland State. And then she met her partner in life, Leonard. And they got married. And Leonard took a position in Texas. And they left Cleveland, moved down there for quite a number of years. And when he retired, they decided to come back to Cleveland. Which to me is kind of just strange. When people are retired, who wants to come back to this beautiful weather? But Leslie and Leonard had a lot of friends here. They also had a lot of friends in Texas. But their heart was here in Cleveland. There's so many good memories. She loved to entertain, as you know. She loved her cruising, I guess, on Celebrity Cruise Lines with her ship of choice. No? Which one was it? Cristo, I'm sorry, Cristo. Okay, Cristo. She loved events. She loved to entertain. I remember from the old Oakwood Club that she served on the social committee and also on the food and beverage committee. That was her way of life. Everything had to be planned. Everything had to be perfect. And that was what she more or less did when she came in to see me with Aaron. She had to have it planned. It all had to be perfect. I'm reminded of a story that these rabbis tell of two ships. When I think of the cruises, I thought of this story. Two ships. One was getting ready to leave the harbor. One was coming in to the harbor. And the ship that was leaving, all the people were there. Bands were there playing. Champagne was flowing. Balloons. Everything was being thrown at the ship that was getting ready to leave. There was a celebration. But the ship coming in, there wasn't much except the dock crew to tie the ship up. And the rabbis thought, this is wrong. We should be celebrating the ship that came in, not the ship leaving. Because the ship that came in made a successful journey. They came home to port. They weathered all the storms and all the troubles that might happen upon a voyage. And with her loving the cruises the way a number of you that I spoke to have told me, including Stuart, I think of her completing her cruise right now. She's come home to port. We should be celebrating. We have these great memories of this classy woman. A woman who wanted to die with dignity and grace. Unfortunately, the disease she had took some of that dignity away. But we must remember the good, the better days. When I was talking to Stuart, he told me when they first realized the beginning of her decline. Stuart came in for a weekend, and she was to pick him up at the airport. He was waiting for a while. He called her. She said, "Oh, I'm on my way, but I don't remember how to get down to where the baggage area is." Stuart at first didn't think that was anything. We all get permission every now and then. When they were going home, she turned to Stuart again and said, "How do we get back to the suburbs?" That was when it started clicking to him. Am I right, Ron? Do you remember this story?
Yes.
That something was wrong. She had nieces, nephews. She adored her great nieces and nephews. They were special in her life. She kept herself active, as I said, not only entertaining and cruising, but served on a number of committees, especially in Texas, the JCC, extremely active there. Giving of herself, loved people, and she did love her son. Today we must remember the good and not the bad. That's what she would have wanted. There's also another reading which I found that I think definitely fits this solemn occasion. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage. From childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to know, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness and often back again, from health to sickness and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage, made stage by stage, from birth to death to life everlasting. I just hope it, and I want to offer my apologies to Ron. One of the things that Stuart did say is that the two of you meant so much to her. And I thought you should know that that was my mistake in not mentioning that. And Stuart made a point to point it out to me. Unless anyone has something to say, wants to tell a story, we'll go ahead to the closing prayers. God, you give us loved ones and make them the strength of our life, the light of our eyes. They depart and leave us on a lonely way, but you are the loving fountain from which our healing flows. To you the stricken look for comfort and the sorrow laden for consolation. O God, we see life as through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures and the soul endures as you, O God, endures forever. We see that the years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. They weave a timeless pattern in a world that is your dwelling place of your love and glory. Each of us, in our own hearts and mind, have memories of Leslie. Let's take a couple of moments for each of us to recall those memories and those blessings. El Malay Rachamim Shochim Barmamim Hamze Menucha Nacha Tacha Kamfe Hashkina Im Kadoshim Hurhim Zvar Harakiath Misrim Es Nishmas Leslie E. Heiman Shalach Le'elamo Bial Harachamim Yasnibrehu B'Seis Ver Kanafo Le'elamim Vayizror B'Zor HaChaim Es Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalato V'yinuach B'Shalom Amish Kavav and Omar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Leslie E. Heiman, who is in eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance, and may she rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. The dust returns to the earth as it was, the spirit returns to God who gave it. It is only the house of the Spirit which we now lay within the earth. The Spirit itself cannot die. Receive in mercy, O God, the soul of our departed Leslie. Grant her that everlasting peace which you have prepared for us in the world to come. Though no human eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind has grasped it, still is our sure inheritance and our everlasting portion. O God, help us to understand that grief and love go hand in hand, that the pain which loss inflicts is a love stronger than death. Though we cry in the anguish of our hearts, may we be like children who know that the parent is near and who cling unafraid to the trusted hand. In this spirit, O God, do we commit all that is precious to us, to your keeping, as we repeat the words hallowed by the generations. The mourner's Kaddish. Those who wish may join me. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei rabbah. B'al ma divrach yibrusei v'yam lich machusei. B'chai echol nevion mechon v'chai dechol beis Yisrael. B'agalav isman karev v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah b'varach le'elam elamei amaya. Yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yisbar v'yisramam v'yisnasei. V'yisadar, v'yisalev, v'yisalal, shemei, tikudashah, barichu. V'yelamim kol berkasa, v'shirasa, tushbachasa, v'nechamasa. Da'amim ram b'alma, v'imru amen. V'hei shlom arabah min shemai v'chayim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Lake Shalach Adonai, go your way, for God has called. Go your way, may God be with you. May your righteousness go before you, and the glory of God receive you, and grant you that everlasting peace. And let us all say, Amen. We're going to lower the casket at this time. It's an obligation we feel in Judaism that those who attend the funeral have, to make sure that we witness Leslie being placed in her final resting place by those who knew her, not left up to strangers to do. Once that's completed, if anyone wishes to partake in the mitzvah, a symbolic act of placing someone upon the grave, signifying that we participate in the burial, we may do so. Thank you. Again, thank you for coming here.